Hello, I'm Erin Halvorsen with Rag Rugs by Erin, and today we're going to be working on an oval rug that has a more lacy look to it, where we've added some spaces in here, and I'm going to show you how to achieve that. And after you've able to figure out how to do this, after I show you the technique on this, then you can kind of advance your skills and move on to maybe something like this. This is using a double crochet, and it's a little bit lacier look. This one used a 16 hook or a Q hook for the center, as well as this one was all done in 16. And then I went to double crochets, and I also went to a 21 hook on these. And most of this was about 2-inch wide on both of these rugs, with about 2-inch strips of sheet yarn. I do want to point out one thing. This one has got a lot more threads to it. These were a little bit less expensive, probably sheets with not as high of a thread count, and this is sometimes what happens when you have those kinds of sheets. So this is just kind of pointing it out to you where this did not do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started, and let me talk about the tools that I used on this particular rug. A lot of you like to know what I'm doing, and I used about 2-inch wide strips approximately, and I used a 16. This is a 16 that I make, which is a Q, and this is 8.5 inches long because it makes it more comfortable. Most of the bigger hooks that you get are not this long and do not have a nice slick part like this. If you do get them, sometimes I've noticed these bigger hooks too. I had a couple people come to class and they're kind of cut off here and they don't grab as much material. So if you get frustrated with what you're using, there are other things available to you. So there's a 16 or a Q. You can use anything you want. These are just what I use. A lot of people want to follow exactly, and you can use bigger or smaller or whatever works for you. And nice pair of scissors. I'm not probably going to show you this, but I'm going to hook a link on how to finish it. This is a number 6. No, this is a number 13 tapestry needle or yarn needle, and I only use metal. I don't use plastic. 16 would work fine. Sometimes you can't find a 13. It's got a bigger eye on it. And then some of you may want to use stitch markers to mark on your ovals. I'm not going to start this rug right from the beginning. I'm going to put down in the bottom below, shows you my oval rag rug, how to make an oval rag rug, and that's what you're going to use to get started. So you can just use that. And also I'll probably put in that playlist, either it will be in the playlist area with that rug to show you how to finish it, or it will be a separate link down there of how to finish the rug. But I will show you how to move up and how to achieve that lacy doily look around there. And let's go ahead and get started. This one probably only had about 10 stitches to start with. I'm liking a little bit shorter. You could make this as long as you wanted. You might want to do 12 or a foot long for your center strip there to get started. So you're moving right along, and you've made your oval, and you can make it, this happens to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rows. The other one was quite a bit more, maybe more like 15 or 18 rows before I started doing this. You just do it how you want, okay? And sometimes it's going to come out just right because I don't follow a pattern per se, and you're going to, depending on how many stitches that you actually add extra as you're coming around the corners, and depending on the type of sheet yarn you're using, the thickness, how you crochet, either tight or loose, will affect those things. So you'll have to make some adjustments, and it's a rag rug. Some of you are crocheters, and if you're a crocheter, you're used to following a pattern. Some of you are really good on the fly to change things around. That's kind of how I operate, but you'll have to maybe make some adjustments. So you're coming right along here, and you're just crocheting your single crochets. And that video will show you how to get your rug this far along. So what you're going to do is, I'm just going to, let's see, that's not going to make a whole stitch. So we're going to go ahead and stop it here. So wherever it is you decide to stop it, then you're going to come over here and you're going to, make sure your hook's still in there. You're going to make about 1/4 inch. You're going to cut out here, okay? Like this. You're going to cut off and then you're going to pull your hook out and pull that last stitch out, okay? Then you're going to add your sheet yarn. I don't normally do this in a ball anymore. but because of purposes of showing you how to do this, I went ahead and made some, and I'm going to do just a little bit of this and then move on to the next row. So here we go, cutting off these little bat wings if you want to. You don't have to. And I show you, which you can see in a video, how to add the no-sew method. I have that. I have also the no-sew sheet yarn tips, which is really helpful. And you're going to make a little slit. And if you notice, I use the center part of my scissors. My husband kind of taught me this technique. Some scissors are sharp enough and on the edge, but after you use them for a while, they start where they don't cut as well. If you come in here to this part of your scissors, it really stays nice and sharp. You have a good closure on it and stuff like that. You'll a lot of times be more successful, especially as your scissors get older. So you're going to take the piece that's attached to the rug, and you're going to take the piece that you're attaching and put it on top after you've made your slits, aligning the slits here, and then you're going to feed the other end of the piece you're attaching through the bottom. This isn't the only way to do it, but it's the easiest way I found to teach it. So, and then make sure that you pull it, and I usually give it a little tug this way and that way, and there you go. You've got that attached just fine. Make sure you pull it tight enough, because some people won't pull it tight enough, and then as they go along, they got these loose places. Okay, so come on back in, Lyle, and we're going to then put that stitch that we took out. I'm going to put it back in that you had just seen me take it out. Okay, so here we are at that point. Now this is the little trick that you're going to do, because we're going to want it, not let it show a step where it goes up and it's going to blend. So I'm going to show you a way to make this blend. You're going to put your hook through the hole and you're going to pull the material through like this, and then you're going to pull it off. So now you're like this, and you need to pull that really, really tight. Okay? Pull it really, really tight. So that way it kind of just blends right in there, and so it looks like a continual loop, and you won't see where there's a transition there. So then what you're going to do is you're going to do you're going to do 3 single chain stitches. 1, 2, 3. Now if you're a real good crocheter, you might not pull it off with your fingers. However, I crochet pretty tight, and I find it necessary to do that because I crochet so tight. So here you've got 3 chain stitches. What you're going to do is you're not going to go into this next hole. You're going to skip that hole right there, okay, and come over to this one. So you're going to skip, and you're going to do a single crochet after you've skipped. Okay, so here you got this little loop. See what it looks like? Then you're going to do 2 more chain stitches. 1, 2. Going to skip and go into the next one and do another single crochet. And you're just going to repeat this as you go around. Okay, so let me show you again. 2 chain stitches, excuse me. Skip that hole and come in over here. So this is what it looks like as you're moving along. This one started with 3 chain stitches, a single crochet in the skipped hole, 2 chain stitches, go into skip the next hole after you've skipped one, and continue on all the way as you come around. And I'll meet you over here, and I'll show you the next step. Okay, so we're back around all the way to the where we started, where we're adding the chain stitches. But I'm going to go on and show you that, but I want to talk about a few things that you may have encountered as you're coming around. I didn't have this situation happen. It's laying really nice and flat. I did the single crochet and then 2 chain stitches, skipping the next hole, and Lau, you can probably come in to what, skipping the hole in between. You did a single crochet, 2 chain stitches, and then a single crochet, and you were skipping holes as you go along. Now I just was able to follow that all the way around with no variation in that. But it occurred to me that some of you, depending on how tight this was, may have felt like you were pulling it a little bit and going to cause that cupping effect. So if you encountered that or felt like you needed to add something extra, I would encourage you somewhere in the arch to maybe add 3 chain stitches one place or even a couple places to give you just a little bit more so it will continue to lay flat. Okay, so if you felt like it was too tight as you went around, because what if you were out here and you were already very, very tight when you added this, that might cause a problem. So that would be a great way to make an adjustment to your rug. And remember, this is just a technique that I'm teaching you. This isn't a pattern necessarily. So when we're learning a technique, we have to figure out the ways to adjust. So make sure you continue to follow on, because there'll be some other things that I'm going to point out to you that will help you, and also some variations of this that you could be doing. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. Here we had a single crochet, and we're going to do 2 chain stitches just like we did all the way around. I'm skipping this next hole and I'm going into this one, doing a single crochet right here, and then I could have ended right here in this hole if it had been worked out different numbers wise, and that would have been fine. I think it works out even better. It just happens to work out very nice here. So just if you happen to end like here, then you would just continue on with this technique over here, and do what you would do in here is going to be, you're going to do 2 chain stitches again, just like you have been doing. But now the hole that you're going to be using is going to be this hole. Okay, so then when you get to this hole, which is the big little gape where you skipped it, you're going to do 2 single crochets. Okay, so there's 1 crochet in and using that same hole. You're going to do this all the way around, but I'm going to show you what's going to happen because I went ahead and did a little trial on this particular rug. So just a part way around, I want to show you what happens. So then you're going to, on the other one, this is what I did. I just did 2 single crochets, 2 chain stitches after the 2 single crochets in that hole, and I went into this hole with 2 single crochets. There's 1, and there's another one. This worked out fine. Then 2 chain stitches, just the same pattern, and then 2 single crochets. Now I can feel it. As you get, do more rug making, you can feel, see how this is kind of getting ahead of itself. Okay, it's kind of getting ahead of itself where it's pushing on. So I'm going to go ahead and do another 2 single crochets here, 2 chain stitches, and do 2 single crochets. But I'm going to make an adjustment here after this. So here's the first chain stitch, single crochet. I'm so sorry that I'm saying the wrong thing. It's hard to think about what I'm saying to you, teaching at the same time and making sure I'm thinking ahead of what I need to do. So anyways, so you can see how it's kind of starting to buckle a little bit there. Okay, I want you to see that. So what I'm going to do, so we don't have too much buckling, I still want to keep the 2 single crochets in these holes all the way around. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 1 chain stitch here and see how that adjusts. Okay, so the other rug, it worked just fine to continue with that pattern that I was doing, the 2 chain stitches and the 2 single crochets. But this one is not going to be, it's going to be puckering if I'm not careful. Okay, so that's fixing that. So you got to know that's your 1 chain stitch. You see that? This is where there were 2 chain stitches. All along we had these 2 chain stitches. But I've decided, so I don't get more of this that just keeps building up and gives that rippling effect like the leaf lettuce, or it's like too crowded. So I just did 1 single crochet. I'm going to do the same thing here and see what happens. I'm going to do 1, and I'm kind of just doing this, winging it as it goes, and this is what you have to do too. Okay, so there's 1 chain stitch, and now I'm going to do my 2 single crochets. This is where we don't want to deviate, is the ones that are going into the holes to keep the pattern up. Okay, so there's 1 chain stitch there and 2 single crochets. So let me see, I'm going to still do 1 chain stitch and then 2 single crochets. I'm not going to go all the way around, I'm just going to get around this arch for you. And we're going to come back in afterwards and okay. I'm going to still do 1 single crochet and 2 chain stitches. And then I'm going to go back to 2 chain stitches. There's 2 chain stitches because I'm looking over here. Okay, and then 2 chain stitches into this hole. Now I also have one of my playlists on my channel is Rag Rug Information and Help videos. It's a playlist and it has lots of videos there that I have made to help you with things that you encounter, helpful ideas and things like that. So if you're new especially to rag rug making, you may want to go there. I'm going to do 2 chain stitches here. And also, do you see how I'm holding my hook? I've got it all the way down here, this giving you this throat to be able to work it. If you've got a shorter hook, some of you got like 6-inch hooks that's like here because this is an 8.5 inch. You're doing this, your hand is hanging off the end. So keep in mind, if you're going to do a lot of crocheting or rag rug making, you may want to make sure that you have a nice long hook. And this is something you can buy at my website, but you probably can find something someplace else. I'm not sure because some of them I've seen bigger hooks and they're 6 inches long, so I'm not sure. Okay, so you're going to just continue with this technique and I'll meet you on the other end and making adjustments if you need to, and trying to do 2 chain stitches whenever possible. Okay, so I'll meet you over here and we'll talk about it from there. Thank you. Okay. We're back. Before I move on and show you what I did here and how we're going to kind of transition to go to a single crochet around the outside and what I did there, I want to talk about a few things. My hooks that I have on my website right now, there's some reclaimed ones. It's hard to see in photos. This is a 21, this one's a 23, it's 9.5, it's 9 inches long, I think. This one is a 22 and this is an 18. So there's some different things, and of course I always have my poplar line, but this is ever changing, my reclaimed wood line. So, and okay, and also I'm hoping to have some guests on my channel, and I've had a couple people suggest that, and I've thought about it, but I wasn't sure how to go about it. But I'm going to invite you, if you want to share some technique that you're doing, or share something that your group is doing with rugs, or if you do some other sort of rug, you know, the twining or the weaving or braided rugs. There's all different types of rugs that other people are doing. The Amish toothbrush rug. There we go. Thank you. I was just lost there for a minute. Thank you for your patience. So if you do some of these techniques and want to share and be a guest on my channel, I'd love to have you write to me at ragrugsbyerin@gmail.com, and perhaps on one of my travels I'll be able to include you and maybe get you featured on my channel and teach some people some new stuff and maybe teach me some new things, which would be cool as well. So I'm headed to Vermont in July and New Hampshire, and I've got some things lined up, so if you want to be included in that trip, you might want to send me an email. So let's go ahead and move on and let's talk about what I've already done here. So we went ahead and I came back around. I made it all the way back around. But I wanted to show you that I did have to go do some more of that, just 1 chain stitch, you know, in a few places. And particularly on the side, I went back to doing 1 chain stitch in between and then 2 single crochets in that hole. And then I did more double crochet, 2 chain stitches as you come around the arch so we'd have enough. Okay, but it still looks really good and it's laying flat, so you're going to have to make those adjustments. But we're here now where we're going to continue on. Now I'm going to actually, when I'm going to make this rug, I'm going to continue to do this a few more rows. Okay, a few more rows than this, and so I'm going to just leave it the same color and show you how to go on and how I finished it. But I want to show you something else on this other rug. This rug is pretty and it's lacier. However, what I worry about with certain rugs, there's always the factor to me of the safety factor of the real functional part of your rug. I mean, I make rugs to be functional for you to use them. And this is double crochet and it's a looser, but to me, depending on the person and the location that you put up, you could get your foot caught in some of these holes. So though it looks pretty, if it's just going to be in a guest room or where you're not going to look at, use it a ton, that may be appropriate. But this little bit of a lace that we've added here, this to me is more functional, okay? Where it gives a little bit of that look, but not as much like that. Now, here I want to show you how I did this right here. Okay, and you can see how this came around here, and I'm going to show you how to achieve this, but I want to talk about this when you can see it with the two different color contrasting. I think it's a really good way. When you're doing this, see, we have your 2 single crochets and then you have 2 chain stitches and 2 single crochets here. But when you come back around and do a final, or 1 or 2 things, or transition to just doing single crochets, you're going to put 2 single crochets in where you have your chain stitches, and then here's the 2 chain stitches from the row that we're working on right now. But when I came around, I just did 1 single crochet here. So there's 2 and then 1 and then 2 and then 1. You can make adjustments along the way and no one's going to notice it. Maybe you will. And if you're that picky, maybe you shouldn't be making rag rugs because rag rugs are rag rugs. So this is the way that I would go ahead and finish it. I'm going to show you actually with me crocheting. I'm not changing colors, but I really like that look of the colors changing. So this is something to consider when you're doing that. Okay. All right. Let's just move along. So here we are back around where we did that one kind of hidden stitch. So this has got 2 single crochets. I'm going to go ahead and do 2 single crochets here. Chains. Thank you, Lyle. And then I'm going to go 2 single crochets here. And then I'm just going to go in between these and do a single crochet. So I'm not going to do any more chain stitches. Then I come over here. Now see, there's only 1 single crochet. So you've got to decide, do you want 2 in there or 1, based upon how you think it's going to look. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and just put 1 there. Then I'm going to come over in between these 2 single crochets and put another single crochet. Then I'm headed over here. Now that's only 1, but I am going to end up putting 2 single crochets in there, because if not, it's going to start pulling too much. This is where you have to adjust in general. Okay, so now that's not pulling anymore. So then I'm going to go, here's 2 single crochets. I'm going to go in between there and do another single crochet. This would be if this was my final row. This is not going to be my final row. I'm going to end up pulling this back out and adding some more. But I wanted to show you, sometimes I have to make 3 or 4 or 5 rugs in order to do a video for you. And that is extremely time consuming. And so I wanted to just do it this way this time. So there's 2 single crochets in that hole. And then I'm just going to put 1 in between these single crochets. So I think that gives you the feel of how to finish it, and see, that would give you a border. Now you could do it in this one color like I'm doing, and I think it looks very nice, but there's also this look, and that's really quite striking too. So it kind of gives a little bit of a pattern around here, and I think that's real attractive. So and this is, if you notice, this is neutrals. A lot of my stuff has a lot more colors. I'm practicing more with neutrals and seeing what I think of that, and I really like it too. So the possibilities are endless, and you can come up with your own ideas, and many of you are kind enough to share your rugs with me and send them to me, pictures of them, and tell me what you did. And if you're struggling with something, you can email me But I hope you enjoy this, and I've got like 6 or 7 other videos already been filmed, and I'll be uploading them about once a month or so. So thank you for joining me. Subscribe.